then what does this book say about Muhammad? At that time I didn't know. My knowledge was limited. I didn't know that Muhammad is mentioned by name. Wallah is there by name, but it is in the original. You see, in the Song of Solomon in the Bible, in Hebrew, chapter 5 verse 16, chapter 5 verse 16, in Hebrew, that is supposed to be the original language of the Old Testament. This is what it reads. Sahikko mamittakim vi kullu Muhammadim zahdudi vi zahra'i bainat Jerusalem. Muhammadim, im is a plural of respect in Hebrew. You take that out as Muhammad. But now, I heard other lectures and I read literature on the subject of biblical prophecies. And I was told that this book, the Bible, speaks about Gog and Magog, Soviet Russia, the devilish kingdom. It speaks about Israel coming into being. It speaks about the Pope. I said, it speaks about so many things. Then what does this book say about Muhammad? Now that crept up in my mind, and that question I kept on asking people questions. I said, look, the learned men of Christianity, what does the Bible say about Muhammad? If it speaks about Israel, speaks about Russia, it speaks about the Pope, surely this book must have something to say about Muhammad. A man who made it possible at that time, it's 1,000 million Muslims today, but at that time we were 700 million. I said, a man who made it possible for 700 million people to believe in Jesus and to honor his mother Mary, to defend her against the calumnies of her enemies. Surely this book must have something to say about such a man. So I started looking in our telephone directory in Durban for the DRCs, the Dutch Reformed churches. And I found a church, DRC. I phoned. I said, look, Domini, that's what you call a priest. I said, look, Domini, I'm interested in religion and I'd like to come along and have an exchange of views, sharing God's word. I said, Domini, what does the Bible say about Muhammad? And without any hesitation, he said, nothing. I said, why nothing? Does not the Bible speak about the rise of Soviet Russia? He said, yes. About the coming into being of the state of Israel? He said, yes. And about the Pope? The beast 666, he said, yes. Then I said, what does it say about Muhammad? He says, nothing. I said, surely it must have something to say about this mighty messenger of God who made it possible for 700 million people to believe in Jesus Christ. So the Afrikaner, his father-in-law from the Free State, he said, my boy, I didn't have my beard then, you see. So he said, my boy, he said, I have been reading the Bible for the past 50 years. If there was any mention about Muhammad, I would have known it. At that time, I didn't know. My knowledge was limited. I didn't know that Muhammad is mentioned by name. Wallah is there by name, but it is in the original. You see, in the Song of Solomon in the Bible, in Hebrew, chapter 5 verse 16, chapter 5 verse 16, in Hebrew, that is supposed to be the original language of the Old Testament. This is what it reads. Sahikko mamittakim vi kullu Muhammadim zahdudi vi zahra'i bainat Jerusalem. Muhammadim, im is a plural of respect in Hebrew. You take that out as Muhammad. Muhammadim is there in Hebrew. But they translated it into English as altogether lovely. That my beloved is altogether lovely. Now when you say altogether lovely, you can't imagine that is Muhammad. And in Afrikaans, I was looking up the word, it's very difficult for me to pronounce. But I tell you, it's so funny, the translation of that altogether lovely, that most of you can't even pronounce that Afrikaans. It's so high above your heads. You can never guess. In 1,000 years, you keep on reading, uttering that phrase, you'll never know it's talking about Muhammad. But in the original, the word is Muhammadim, but I didn't know it then.